What's up, guys? Max here, back with a brand new episode of the ScuttleButt Show. Happy Friday from Okinawa, Japan. It's Friday out here, Thursday back in the United States, but it's the last show of the week, so hope you guys are getting ready to have a fantastic weekend. I've been out the last couple days because I've been working on that top secret, super epic project we have going on. I'm super excited to share that with you guys. It's going to be a busy month for that in April, but hopefully by the end of April, we'll be pretty much done with it. You might be looking around going, things look a little different. What's going on in the background there? I totally changed up the whole inside of the studio. Go check out my TikTok for a video coming today about the renovations that I did. Yes, the ScuttleButt Show has a TikTok. I don't know how I feel about that yet, but you guys can go check it out. I got I'm looking at two monitors now. I've got one desk for both monitors, so all my video live stream info is over here and my comments are over here. So I'll be looking over here to say what's up to you guys. So what's up, Boomer, Nuggets, Justin, Andrew. We got Chris, Earl, everybody in the house. Fayaz, I hope I said that right. What's up? So I hope everybody's doing good. And Earl says, can a root canal be considered a surgery at MEPS? I think so. Maybe. I don't know for sure. Talk to your recruiter. Nuggets said he did arms today, and his arms feel like noodles. I have to break arms up into 2 separate days because you've got curls for the girls, but tries are for the guys. You know what I'm saying? So you need those big, massive triceps to make an impression. Everyone knows you can have big biceps, but if you don't have big triceps, you're nobody. You're nothing. You know, put your arm back in your car. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's interested. Nobody's listening. So I actually normally go to the gym early in the morning, but I'm going to go right after this episode ends, and then I'll hit it up tomorrow, Saturday morning. Usually go running and then hit the triceps up, and that's how I roll. So we have some insane stories today, some good stuff, some sad stuff. The whole spectrum is covered. And then we're going to get to something at the end of the show a little bit different. I mean, it's definitely different. We've never done anything like it before, but I hope you guys might be interested in it. And if you are, if you're not, just let me know how you feel about it at the end of the show. And by the way, I've been working my butt off to get Squad running on my computer here, and it is ish, and I'll be starting to play Squad. I'm going to complete the tutorial and post a video of me completing the Squad tutorial mission for you guys, hopefully before the end of the weekend. But that will, of course, be available first at Patreon. So if you haven't already gone and checked out Patreon, go check it out. Link in the description. Best way to support the channel right now, if you join as an elite patron, you'll get a free t-shirt on your second month. If any of you are out there rocking that t-shirt, let the chat know how it is, how comfortable it is, all that. And you can get one of your second month by being an elite patron. So, and all the non-live stream videos go to Patreon first. So Andrew says, glutes for the shoots. Who are the shoots? Who are the shoots? And what are they interested in my glutes for? So without further ado, I've got to get to the first story because we have a jam-packed show today. So let's get over to the first story. Marine Corps' most wanted over here, $50,000 reward for Marine vet on most wanted list for 2016 murder. You take one look at this guy, you can tell he's probably killed somebody. He's got the serious roid rage going on. He's got gym mirror selfies. He's got it looks like invisible lat syndrome, but with lats. So he's basically got lat syndrome, which is where you can't walk properly through a doorway because your lats are too big. He definitely spends a lot of time at Planet Fitness when he's not murdering his girlfriend. So more than 4 years after his girlfriend was found dead in a San Diego apartment, Marine veteran is now one of the most sought fugitives from justice in the United States. What? Police say Raymond McLeod Jr. strangled Crystal Mitchell, 30, on June 10, 2016, while they were visiting a friend of McLeod's in San Diego. He is now one of the U.S. Marshals Service's 15 most wanted fugitives. The agency announced on Monday's episode of America's Most Wanted and in a press release. Wow, he's on America's Most Wanted, the TV show. Damn, that show is crazy. That show's still on? The USMS also announced an unprecedented reward for information leading to his arrest. Raymond McLeod will be the first fugitive in history on our 15 most wanted list with an initial reward of up to $50,000. An initial reward. So I guess normally they start lower. So that's from Donald Washington, the U.S. Marshal Service Director. We want McLeod's new status as a 15 most wanted fugitive and a $50,000 reward amount to be broadcasted far and wide. McLeod poses a significant threat to the public and must be brought to justice. So this guy looks like he Obviously, when he walks into a room, people probably notice. I feel like he would be pretty easy to spot. The Marine Corps service record for McLeod shows he joined the Marines in July of 2003, so right before combat operations started in Iraq. If I remember, that was October 2003, and was a combat veteran, having earned the Combat Action Ribbon as his only personal decoration during a 4-year enlistment as a light armored vehicle crewman. He deployed to Haiti in 2004 and to Iraq in 2005 before leaving the Corps in 2007 as a Lance Corporal. Interesting. His only personal award was the Combat Action Ribbon. That's pretty interesting, because one thing that notably is missing there, good conduct. He should have gotten a good conduct ribbon, but he did not. So that could have been potentially administrative, but it matches murderer status. So if you guys have any information about Raymond McLeod, or if this picture looks familiar to you, or if you served with this guy, I'd love to hear it in the chat, because that is pretty bananas. Let's see. Everything's new over here. Give me a break. Justin says, I got to get that LASIK eye surgery. Well, I've already had PRK. Oh, salutes with an L. No, you're right. I am blind. I'm going blind. Well, the monitors are further away today than they have been in the past, so I have to get used to the new distance that I'm reading the screen at over here. Immobile lat syndrome, ILS, for sure. When a USMS is after you, you done effed up. Scad says, Scad, what's up? Welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing great. Let's see. Well, we were just jumping right into the OMG moment. That is not, I would say, of everything that we have today, that is not the OMG moment. So this guy, you know, I don't know. You guys tell me, what's the most vile criminal you've ever known? I knew somebody who murdered somebody. I talked about on the show a few weeks ago. A guy, he was a veteran. I think he was a Marine. He worked in aviation. He was a civilian contractor. He used to hang around in my friend's group. He and I don't think ever hung out one time one-on-one, but we would be in the same circle of people regularly. He apparently one night went out to a bar, decided he had a problem with a female there who I guess turned down his advances, went to his car, got a gun, and shot her in the head and killed her. So that's probably the craziest thing that I knew a person do individually. Let's see. He looks like he skips leg day for sure. Only a Lance during the surge with a car. Weird. I agree. You should do a reaction to the DCS F-18 trailer. It's a bit old but realistic. Dude, I went to HS with a convicted pedo. Whoa, that is definitely creepy, especially if that person's ever been around you or your family. So it is weird, like, when you find out somebody's a criminal and they've been up to no good, and then you think about all the times you've hung out with them and then all the circumstances you've hung out with them, and you go, that is shocking. That is, I'm glad that we all walked away from those encounters with that person relatively unscathed, but traumatized from having known a pedo or a murderer or something like that, or a bank robber. I don't know. Who knows? So just last week, or even this week, I think maybe Monday, I was talking about how the idea of America getting out of Afghanistan by May 1st seems impossible to me. And on the heels of covering that story, we have got Pentagon condemns Taliban attack on base housing hundreds of U.S. troops. The Taliban fired rockets at Kandahar Airfield being a huge airfield, causing no damage or casualties, but drawing a swift condemnation from the Pentagon, which said the attack was disruptive to peace negotiations. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby declined to say whether the Wednesday attack violated last year's U.S.-Taliban peace deal. As a layperson on the subject, I would say it probably did. The attack occurred about 3 weeks before the peace agreement requires all U.S. troops to have left the country. We condemn the attack, and we believe this decision to provoke even more violence remains disruptive. That's from Kirby. I can't deliver a comprehensive analysis of what we believe they were trying to achieve or what message they were trying to send. They were probably trying to say, get out, or else there's going to be a lot more of this, based on their threats that I covered earlier this week. Masad Pashtun, the airfield director, told Stars and Stripes on Wednesday that the attack began around 10 a.m. and ended after 4 rockets landed in an open field. So this is pretty interesting as far as the development in the efforts of America to get out of Afghanistan. Kandahar Airfield has been a key base for the U.S. military throughout the war, housing an estimated 30,000 service members and contractors at its peak. But the Afghan government recently assumed control of operations at the airfield, and only a few hundred U.S. troops remain. So under the deal, remaining troops and other foreign service members could pull out by May 1st if the Taliban meet vague counterterrorism pledges, but a May withdrawal date would be hard to meet because of logistical challenges and ongoing violence between the Taliban and Afghan forces. America can get out of places pretty quick. They can choose to leave things behind, which is obviously not ideal, or they can just start moving things out in really, really aggressive air rotations with, even airplanes carrying other airplanes and tanks and personnel and all this stuff. Big flatbed trucks coming in, driving things across borders. But that ground, a TGM like that, a ground movement would be pretty dangerous, high risk, I think, for sparking an attack. This attack certainly indicates that it's going to be disruptive to the opportunity to achieve a peaceful negotiation, but I'm not prepared to give any assessment of this attack as balance against the Doha Agreement. I still need to figure out what the Doha Agreement is in reference to a May withdrawal in Afghanistan and not just the one from the 90s that I covered the other day. So I need to educate myself on that a little bit. So it looks like the Taliban are not, I repeat, not playing friendly with the United States' peace negotiations and our attempts to get out of the country by May 1st, whatever our actual plan is, whether it's to get out by May 1st or not. They sound serious about their threats to start upping the violence if we do not meet those expectations. What's going on here in the chat? We've got, the stream is just holy moly after holy moly. Thanks, Nuggets. Boomer says, same here. One of my classmates transferred in and he showed up on the pedo list. When we looked up his name, we knew he looked sus. That's crazy. Attack to Fob, C-Ram. Andrew's always repping the C-Ram, but not pulling out feels so good, Justin says. Oh, yeah. Audra, what's up? Welcome to the chat. Hello, Audra. You joined us just in time. I have remained silent on an issue that has been making waves throughout the Navy. I've been thinking about what I want to say about it because I could, you know me, I try to see it from every perspective, okay? I can see it both ways. I can frankly see it 3 different ways. I don't know. I'm crazy. I'm willing to see things from a different, unique perspective. I'm empathetic. I have major, big-time empathy. And then this comes up. Just got a new sub. Thank you to the new sub. Saw that. Looks like I can't see the name on my screen because I'm blind, like Justin said, but thank you for the new sub out there. I appreciate it. Another one. Let's go. So we've got, out of Yokosuka, I believe, an officer, a naval officer, writes a letter. Another sub. Let's go. Let's do this. Trying to hit 2,000 maybe this week. 2,000 this week. We just hit 1,000 a couple weeks ago. We're looking at approaching 2,000 right now. It's insane. So a naval officer out of Yokosuka, I can't even keep up. It looks like a naval officer out of Yokosuka has a serious problem with the enlisted personnel of the United States Navy. And this story broke, and I've been waiting to cover it. I don't know what's going to end up happening with this. There's so much to it as far as, news breaking and stories coming in every direction, but Navy disciplines officer for calling enlisted sailors hatchet-wielding perverts. Task and Purpose always has a great way of wording things. I love covering their articles. But the Navy has disciplined an officer after an investigation determined he wrote a letter, so it's all real, complaining about being forced to live with enlisted sailors that he described as deviants and perverts who posed a risk to his family. Task and Purpose obtained a copy of the letter that was signed by Nathaniel Allison, Ph.D., who wrote that he had received orders to live in Yokosuka, Japan for the next 3 years, and he was willing to pay for his family to live in a hotel rather than being billeted in enlisted housing. In the typo-ridden letter, Savage, Allison alleged that the enlisted quarters were unsafe for his family due to rampant drug use, alcoholism, sexual assaults, and other perverts. Now, here's where the Navy sailors and influencers came to the rescue of enlisted people and said, how dare he write a letter like this? And in the back of my mind, I was like, have you ever been to the barracks? It's crazy. It's Mad Max. It's no man's land. Like, if you're an officer, half the things that occur in the barracks, if you even witness them, it would be a crime to not report them. Like, I definitely have a sense of empathy for an officer not wanting to live in an enlisted barracks or housing complex just for the fact that the burden of the UCMJ would fall on them as the highest ranking officer. Now, this does, but also, I totally think he's a psychopath who is a total weirdo And a lot of the stuff he said is totally wrong and inappropriate. So I personally had to deal with an enlisted child molester as my subordinate, wrote Allison, and so did some people in the chat right here, who added that the sailors who hung out in enlisted housing were often drunk and hostile. Totally legit. I have a good-looking family, a wife and 2 daughters, aged 3 and 4. It's a little weird to call your 3 and 4-year-old daughters good-looking, bro. They are prime targets to be victims for these enlisted deviant activities. My family should be safe in housing that is with officers. Officers are more respectable, and these type of deviant activities are incredibly rare compared to deviant activities of enlisted being commonplace. First of all, he's factually wrong that these crimes are unique to enlisted sailors. They obviously are not. We've covered that many times. It is very weird to call his family good-looking, implying that enlisted families are not good-looking, which, again, he exposes his lack of experience living with any other people on the planet. Allison also complained that living with enlisted sailors meant he and his family would be isolated from other officers who would not want to visit them. Maybe, that might be true. And Allison argued that if he were forced to live among the enlisted sailors, he would be duty-bound as an officer to report any instances of drug use, placing his family in danger of being retaliated against, and he would constantly have to break up brawls amongst the ruffians. This is his only legit complaint, as I already stated, and I think that if he wasn't such a douche, if this guy wasn't such a douchebag, he would have had a good chance of not having been made a total social media storm about him. So a few tours ago, an enlisted housing unit had 2 gangs attacking each other with hatchets and other weapons over competing drug turf, Allison wrote in a letter. He did not specify where the axe-laden drug gang rumble went down. Insane. A command investigation determined that Allison, who was assigned to Naval Hospital Yokosuka, was the author of the letter, said Regina Cowitz, a spokeswoman for Naval Medical Forces Pacific. The command's investigation into this matter has... I hate when that happens. The command investigation into this matter has concluded and been adjudicated with appropriate disciplinary measures taken. The command cannot release or discuss the details of administrative actions for misconduct due to privacy regulations. So he's been disciplined. And the entire letter is here, which I will slowly scroll through, and you guys can read. I'm not going to read the entire letter, but you can pause it on a rewatch of this and check it out. But it's full of insane content that is despicable. And I condemn the words of Nathaniel Allison. But what I will say is he has some good points about officers and enlisted living together and the complications that might create. But he goes about it in a totally psycho and wrong way. I will say that out here in Okinawa, there's enlisted and officer housing on different bases, but out in town, Americans all kind of live in the same areas, and enlisted officers live together, and we walk around and we hang out, and it's all good, and it's not a big deal. So it's just a matter of being mature and responsible and upholding your end of the bargain of joining the military. And, you know, if you're an officer and you see people doing drugs and attacking each other with hatchets, yeah, you got to probably report that. But this idea that all enlisted personnel are out there killing each other with axes and raping people and doing drugs at all times in all places of the world is kind of ridiculous. And bravo Zulu to the command for taking disciplinary action against him. That's who I got to give my bravo Zulu to, and not a bravo Zulu to this guy who humiliated himself. And his Navy career will never be the same having to live this one down. So he is going to get his up-and-comings for sure. And I just wanted to wait until some more official information came out to share that story with you guys. And that's why I slept on it for a little while. So what's going on over here? We got Andrews. What's another 20 years? Everyone said 2021 was your come up. Yes, thank you, Scad. Diana says, hey, what's up? Thank you, Diana. Welcome to the chat. What's up to you? Let's see. Give a promotion to the leaker. Yeah, give a promotion to the leaker for sure. I think he's saying he has a beautiful family, which maybe his wife did write this. There were some rumors that his wife wrote this, but the Navy confirms he wrote it. Let's see. His wife was interested in getting her silver wings. Damn, savage, Justin. I'm glad that reference as a soldier, LOL. Fort Hood has entered the chat. Nice. Scad, LOL, my buddy's a Lance Inoki. If I was an officer living with him, I'd make the same complaint. That's funny. It's kind of true. Like I said, I mean, he's not totally wrong about everything, but he's totally wrong about how he wrote this letter, and it's totally foolish. Now, off the back of a Navy officer embarrassing the military, which happens regularly. If you know a bunch of Navy officers, nerds, beat it nerd. We've got something really cool, which is a United States Marine is going to the Olympics. And I've got that story for you guys right here. It's totally awesome. A U.S. Marine will wrestle in the Olympics for the first time in decades. For the first time in nearly 30 years, a U.S. Marine will be wrestling at the Olympics. It's amazing. I never in a million years thought I'd wake up one day and say I'm an Olympian. Staff Sergeant John Stefanowicz said after 3 consecutive wins at the Olympic team trials in Fort Worth, Texas over the weekend, the 29-year-old member of the All-Marine Wrestling team is now the best 87-kilogram, 181-pound class Greco-Roman wrestler in the country. Hell yeah. This describes Stefanowicz as feeling unstoppable and ready to bring home a gold medal. He'll be one of 15 American athletes competing at the 2020 Tokyo Games this summer, which were delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And a lot of people were saying, at least out here in Japan, because we're living among the Olympics, but are these the 2021 Olympics now? I think it's appropriate to keep them the 2021. I'm sorry. I think it's appropriate to keep them the 2020 Olympics because if you changed it to the 2021 Olympics, then you would have a weird kind of historical, trend because there's still going to be a 2024 Olympics. So the 2020 Olympics is just taking place in 2021. And frankly, I bet they were just trying to save money on all that merch they already printed because we already bought merch. We had already bought Olympics merch before the Olympics were canceled. So I don't want to be losing I don't want to have to replace my hat and chopsticks and other stuff that we bought for the 2020 Olympics. No way. We did buy 2020 Olympic chopsticks out here in Japan. So he says, every time I step out on the mat, I wear USA on the back, and that means something greater than just myself and my last name. What it means is to truly show the world what we're about and what my brothers here do day in and day out, Stefanowicz said of his Olympic dream. There has not been a U.S. Marine wrestler at the Olympics since 1992. We'd be remiss if we didn't point out the fact that the Corps announced a Marine had made it onto the U.S. Olympic team with a photo of Stefanowicz reporting a shiner, which is fitting and great. He probably got that practicing from just other Marines, I bet. I fight for everything that I believe in and what the Marine Corps stands for, Stefanowicz said in 2019, describing his style and training and on the mat as high intensity, high impact, no forgiveness. He's straight up Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. He's made a name for himself as a top athlete despite his age and untraditional path into the sport. Wow. He's also a black belt in McMap, which makes sense, though it's unclear if any of his Marine ninja skills have ever come into play during the official wrestling bout. So he's got 2 kids at home and a large group of Marines who I know in some capacity look up to me in a sense of what's he doing? Stefanowicz told 5 Point Move. I want to be able to be there. If I let that go, I'm not just setting the right example. I'm just not setting the right example. So I'm going to keep setting the example for everyone. That's really it. So bravo, Zulu to Stefanowicz, Staff Sergeant out here, black belt in McMap, going to the Olympics with no forgiveness, no mercy, 87 kilograms. Let's go. Bring home the gold, bud. We're going to be following this story closely, and we'll be giving updates onto his performance in the Olympics. How many world records? Maybe we can get him on the show. We got to get him on the show. How many record holders, how many major athletes and accomplishments, world renowned, can we get on the ScuttleButt Show? We got to find him. I'm going to email him on the Global because he's in that Global, and we're going to get him, and we're going to get him on the show and talk about his rise to Olympian and his road to the 2020 Olympics. Now, man, we have some cool stuff to talk about still. We have some really cool stuff to talk about, but do I want to get to it? Let's do this. Let me rearrange the stories a little bit for this next story. Let me catch up on the chat really quick. We've got, bro, this stream wild in from Nuggets. Thank you very much. Squad, what's up, Tyler? Squad's going down. Just got to figure out how to record my screen using my... I got to tell you guys, I've done a ludicrous amount of work to try to figure out how to play games on my Mac computer over here, to the point where, honestly, I thought, should I just get a gaming computer? If I'm going to play games on YouTube and react to them, since people seem to love that, should I get a gaming computer? You guys let me know. Let me know in the chat. And if you guys want to see me get a gaming computer, maybe we'll set a goal on Patreon or on YouTube here with some super chats. And if we can earn, let's say $500 Maybe I'll go get a gaming computer and we'll start gaming. ScuttleButt Gaming. Maybe we'll see something about that. Let's see. Tyler, what's my budget? That's a great question. I don't know. Maybe we got to fundraise a little bit. See how bad people want to see this go down. Let's see. Dude has been watching Disney's Miracle. I play for the United States of America. Yes, let's go. Let's go with the female United States hockey team 2018 Olympics. One of the most epic moments ever seen on screen was watching that game play out where they won the gold. In a shootout, in the last shot, epic. Crowd goes wild. Bar erupts. Oh, made me cry. I think I cried watching that. The last shot of a shootout. They had to get the save. The hair on my arm standing up. Think about it. They had to get the save. Then they had to make the shot. United States wins. Oh, man. It was insane. It was beautiful. Beautiful. I'm trying to build a game PC now. You're entertaining. I watch. Angie, thank you very much. Let's see. We've got a pretty cool update on I just want to share this with you guys because I've really been digging the United States of Al. Marine vet and interpreter who saved his life discussed CBS show United States of Al. So how realistic is it? How realistic is it for a Marine to become friends with an interpreter and bring them back to the United States? By the way, at this point in time, I would like to recommend you guys all check out the book, Codename Johnny Walker, about an interp whose code name was Johnny Walker, who supported United States Navy SEALs for years in incredibly dangerous missions and, spoiler alert, ended up moving to the United States. But the story of how that happens is absolutely insane. We have a podcast on it that I'm still editing, trying to figure out how to debut it. But I recommend you guys go check out the book, Codename Johnny Walker, which is exactly right up the alley of the same kind of content and involves some friends of mine. For Ty Edwards and Hakimi Quadratula, the premise behind a new show CBS series about a Marine veteran Afghan interpreter who becomes his roommate after saving his life isn't exactly far-fetched. Marine veteran Riley, home at last after serving in Afghanistan, is happily reunited with his friend Al Walmir, his interpreter with his unit after a long struggle to get him his visa to travel to the United States from Afghanistan. So, very true. This sitcom, United States of Al, produced by Chuck Lorre, David Getch, and Maria Ferrari, is out now, and you can go watch episodes for free on CBS. We talked about that last week. Edwards, who's 51, not a real-life person, is a combat-wounded Marine veteran whose life was saved by Hakimi, 33, during a fierce battle in Afghanistan's Kunar province in 2008. After a 5-year bureaucratic struggle to get Hakimi a visa, the interpreter finally made it to America and for a short period in 2013, lived with Edwards and his family in Tampa Palms, Florida. Amazing. Here's a picture of them together. If you listen on the podcast, you can check out this photo from an article on Military Times. Though the men say the pilot episode they watched at the behest of Military Times is far from perfect, it does capture some of the reality they experienced, particularly the opening scene when Riley's sister Lizzie gives Al a hug upon his arrival at the airport, a very moving scene. Well, once you've gone through life like me, like what me and Hakimi did, you've got a bond for a lifetime. So I like what the sister said. Thank you for saving my brother's life, because that's how my family felt and how my dad felt, and it was right seeing that. Beautiful. So the truth is fiercer than fiction, they say here. On October 18, 2008, Edwards, at the time a Marine lieutenant colonel, and Hakimi, his Afghan interpreter, were on a mission in Kunar province when things went terribly wrong. Edwards stepped out of his Humvee when insurgents opened up with small arms fire. That's usually exactly when they'll do it. I saw him get shot, Hakimi told me back in 2013 when I first began to write about the efforts to bring him to the U.S. I was scared. I was just 20 years old. That's Hakimi. Hakimi saw Edwards lying on the ground for the interpreter and others still inside the Humvee. There wasn't much time to think. Insurgents only 500 feet away were peppering the vehicle with small arms fire. It's about 100 meters. The truck had been hit by an RPG, knocking Hakimi out and sending searing shrapnel into his arms, leg, and back. So they're in a bad way right now. When I came to him, everyone was out of the Humvee, which was smoking, Hakimi said in 2013. I had a choice to stay and be burned alive or take my chances against Taliban bullets. He opted for the latter, grabbing a Marine's M4 rifle and running over to Edwards. I didn't want to get taken alive, Hakimi said. They would have cut my throat with a wire. They would have made a video. My death would have been hard. They would have made me suffer every second. This is the brutal reality over there. You know, this idea, especially for Afghanis and Iraqi civilians, and especially for interpreters, getting captured is a fate worse than death, because you're looking at certain torture, propaganda videos, your family and friends potentially having seen your violent death. Horrible. So he ran over to Edwards. He was alive. He was alive but breathing heavy, Hakami said. After taking off Edwards' helmet, Hakimi could see how badly wounded he was, put a bandage on his head. I told him, don't die. He started crying. He needed help. He was dying in front of me, and when I got on the radio, I asked for help, but it was all jammed up with people talking. Hakimi said, this is Sheepdog 6. That's Edwards' call sign. Officer down. Getting no response, Hakimi grabbed Edwards' rifle and fired away at the enemy as he made his way back to the Humvee where other Marines taking cover. Oh, man. Another Marine, Hakimi, his uniform soaked with blood from his own wounds, crawled through the gunfire until they reached Edwards. With Hakimi providing cover, the Marine worked on Edwards, saving him until a quick reaction force arrived. The wounded were eventually taken to Bagram. Over the course of the next 5 years, Edwards, confined to a wheelchair as the result of his wounds, and friends launched a campaign to bring Hakimi to the U.S. Man, wheelchair-bound, handicapped from his wounds. In 2009, the interpreter applied for a special immigration visa under the Afghan Allies Protection Act. Edwards and friends in Tampa contact members of Congress beseeched the State Department, but it wasn't until 2013, after calls and emails from me while working at the Tampa Tribune, that Hakimi was finally allowed into the U.S. So it took 5 years of certainly perilous danger. At any point in time, he could have been killed, and they finally were able to get him over after going through all of the red tape. Unbelievable. So they go on, they enjoy the show. I think if you guys haven't seen the show already, I would say check it out. Hakimi told me he remains worried about those back home in Afghanistan. I do too. It's dangerous, he said. I absolutely worry about every single person that served or helped the U.S. forces. I do feel like their life is in danger, and somewhat indirectly or directly. You know, while we're on the subject, if there was one reason that the United States should remain in Afghanistan, it's to save all of its allies there before it's too late before they get killed or captured or wounded by the Taliban. Especially if the Taliban come back into power, they're going to seek retribution for all those who supported Americans while we were there. And that is a scary thought. That is actually quite frightening to think about for all of our allies, interpreters, buddies out there, the good citizens who worked with Americans, who supported Americans when we built bases in their towns. Although we've already pulled out of most of the expeditionary places that we were, the outposts. So most of those have already fallen back in the Taliban hands, or we've given up supporting them. But there's so many people left behind out there, so many interpreters left behind. I just, any chance to raise awareness about that, I would love to do so for you guys so you understand. Let me check the comments here really quick. Let's see. Angie said, I had a bad day. I came at the right moment. Well, I'm glad that you're here, Angie. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. Dave Waddle, 800-meter, 1972 Munich Games, the best in my opinion. I got to go refresh my memory on that. Is that where, what was his name? Joyner ran? Is that the same one? Sir Nugget said, told my friend about, no, that would have been in the 40s. So what happened in 72? I'm not sure. Told my friend about the show. He too agreed translators need more credit. Yeah, totally. Articles like this restore my faith in humanity. This is a true hero with courage, putting his life to save another life without thought, but only to focus to save his life. Yes, total selflessness in the face of serious danger, and that's incredible. Incredibly brave, and that's why we need to do all we can for our interpreters and their families who risked it all and continue to risk it all long after we left. So, and with little to show for it, frankly, with little to show for it. Now, we've got some breaking news. Breaking news yesterday, I believe. Yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't remember. For a while, I only saw updates, Twitter updates, headlines, but there appears to be a little bit more information now about something that happened with the Navy. We have the military record of the Navy corpsman allegedly behind a shooting at Fort Detrick. So at Fort Detrick, there was a sailor who went on base with a rifle, shot 2 service members, one in critical but stable condition and one who's already been released from the hospital. Then he goes through a gate onto base. He is cornered by military police. He gets out of his vehicle with his rifle, and he's shot and killed by military police, so the shooter is down. The 2 victims are alive, and they were all coworkers at the Naval Research Laboratory. So the hospital corpsman who was killed at Fort Detrick, Maryland on Tuesday after he allegedly shot 2 other sailors near the base had an unremarkable career in the Navy. Fontahun Gurma Wolstenbet, whose name totally is mysterious to me, originally from Virginia, enlisted in the Navy in September 2012. What is happening? and had served as a petty officer 3rd class or E4 since June 2017. His Navy biography says. Woltissenbett had been assigned, I don't know what his name is, had assigned to the Naval Medical Research Center at Fort Detrick, let the conspiracy theories fly on that. Since August 2019, according to his official record, which the Navy provided to Task and Purpose. Before then, he served at Fort Sam Houston, Texas, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and elsewhere. For much of his time in the Navy, Woltissenbett had been through training. He was listed as a student while at 4 of his 8 assignments after completing recruit training. Most recently, he was a student at Fort Sam Houston and the Navy Medicine Training Sports Center in Portsmouth, Virginia. Lost my place here. Let's see. Yes, before arriving at Fort Detrick. His record does not indicate that he went on any combat deployments or received any significant personal awards. His decorations include Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Medal, and Pistol Marksman. Not even rifle, which is ironic. Once he arrived at Fort Detrick, police officers tried to... This thing's jumping around on me. I hate when it does this. Let's see. Police have not said what Woldenspet's motive for allegedly shooting the 2 other sailors off base. I think it was just off base because they had their uniforms on. Once he arrived at Fort Detrick, police officers tried to pull him over, but he had sped through the gate, drove about a quarter mile onto the post, said Army General Michael Talley, head of U.S. Army Medical Research and Development Command. He was pursued immediately by the Fort Detrick Quick Reaction Force. They were able to stop him in a parking lot. He then brandished a weapon, and our police department was able to neutralize the subject. Another article here. Navy medic who shot 2 was assigned to Fort Detrick Naval Medical Research Center. So his 2 victims, there's actually an insane video of, let's see. This is a picture of him right here. So this is the guy who did it. I really don't even want to try to say his name again. It is very difficult to pronounce. His motive is unclear. The gunman clearly wanted this young man dead. So the person he targeted, but he definitely shot 2 coworkers. So I don't know what his beef was with these 2 coworkers. This appears to be a workplace violence type situation, I believe. Let's see. The wounded sailor, Navy Hospital Corpsman First Class Carlos Portugal of Frederick in the warehouse. He remained in critical condition on Wednesday at the same Baltimore Trauma Center where Nutt was treated, who's the other victim, according to the joint news release from military officials and the FBI. Again, like I said, no motive. So there's a crazy video on the internet of one of the victims walking into what I think is like a pass and decal type office just off base, and he's got a blood-soaked Navy guacamole's uniform, and he's asking for help. The shooting took place at a warehouse rented by the Research Directorate to store supplies and equipment. The warehouse is located at the Riverside Tech Park and Office Park several miles from the base. The warehouse is not staffed on a regular basis and is leased by a military contractor. It's interesting. I wonder why they were there. I wonder why they were all there. They have already raided his apartment and taken all of his possessions as evidence. So hopefully they'll find something on his computer that would allow us to understand better what his motivations were. And like I said, here's a picture of him that you guys can see. This is what he looked like. He is, like they said, unremarkable in the Navy as far as his career goes, and his motivations, his motives are still a mystery. So we'll find out more. We'll find out more about that, and I'll let you guys know any updates if we find out that this was workplace violence, domestic terrorism, ISIS radicalized, a personal beef with the LPO who maybe insulted him or something like that. Whatever it is, I'll be sure to give updates as I get them here on the show. So what's going on here? Danger zone. Dang it, Donnie. The shooting. Oh, man, they knew the shooter too. I knew you were going to mention it. The Navy posted it. Yeah, I had to wait until I wanted to make sure I had a little bit of information. Everything's still very mysterious about this story, like I was saying, and it just seems now is just a total tragedy, a targeted event. They all knew each other. They all worked at the same command, according to the reports. So it does seem like this was not a just guy who goes on a shooting to get as many victims as possible. This was all targeted. So it's interesting what could have been the motivations there. Now, a few more things. Let's do this. We're going to have a little reaction video. The Marine Corps is opening a new investigation into that deadly AAV incident out of Camp Pendleton, where the AAV sank and 8 people were killed, 7 Marines and a sailor, I believe. And it's a tragedy. Only we find out now it was completely preventable. The AAV shouldn't have been in service in the first place. They knew there were problems with it. They sent people out there completely untrained or undertrained, and they basically totally set them up for failure. And Military Times posted a video about this incident that I want to share with you guys so that you can see the real impact of this with the families who were affected and some of the ongoing investigation, and see the faces, put faces to the names, put lives to the names of those who were killed, and demand accountability from the chain of command for their part in what happened here, knowing that there were problems with the vehicle, that I think the particular vehicle had maintenance issues, the people inside had no training, and it goes on and on and on, Swiss cheese model of problems. Let's watch the video and let's see what we think about this. This is totally crazy.
The lengthy report from the Marines on the accident that killed 9 people last year on the training mission off the California coast chronicles a long chain of failures that culminated in the sinking of an amphibious assault vehicle. Bad equipment, poor training, and a lack of experience, quote, doomed this crew and its passengers to preventable tragedy. While we dig into the details of that roughly 2,000-page examination, Marine Corps Times reached out to the families of those killed last July to hear some of what they had to say about what they learned from the report.
Those boats should not, they were not seaworthy. They were junk and they shouldn't even have been put in the water.
They murdered my son. Whoever has this authority to send these boys out, I feel like that day they said, you know what? It's your day of death.
They were failed from the minute these were chopped into service to the minute it sank.
Every person should be held accountable. They all had a hand in this. They all had a hand in this.
Man, it's just tough to hear it from a mother, isn't it? Like, listening to a mother talking about her son dying in this incident is totally gut-wrenching, absolutely heartbreaking.
I spoke to the family of Private First Class Brian Baltiera, who related some gut-wrenching details of their son's last moments and talked about how the report left them with unanswered questions.
Me and my son, he told me that the track is smoking. We stopped. We need to find out what's going on. And then a couple hours later, my son says, Dad, we're going to take a dip in the ocean now. And that was my last communication with Brian.
It was hard. It was hard to see what, the boys went through. And our Brian, we know him. We know how he's like. He was 18. He's kind of goofy, 18, a boy. I know he would have been in panic,
One of the survivors were telling us that, what really got us was when everything was in chaos. Evan and Brian were praying together because they knew, that's all they had, in the darkness. They were praying together because they knew they couldn't make it. They weren't going to make it.
I'm looking at the U.S. military, the Marines, the Navy, and also the manufacturer of the AAVs. This was a 49-year-old vehicle. I want Congress to pull in the military, the United States Marine Corps, and start asking questions, these very difficult questions of what happened to these 9 boys. What happened? Why? And I think this will have to be explained by them. Why did this occur?
I also talked to the mother of Private First Class Evan Bath, who said the amount of mistakes that led to the death of her son were unbelievable.
I am angry because my son should not have died. My son should still be here. The number of mistakes, the lack of training, this should never have happened. The lack of accountability is unacceptable. The sheer number of mistakes, the sheer number of training exercises that our son should have
family of Lance Corporal Chase Sweetwood said a sequence of mistakes in the report read like the description of a murder.
You look clear from March, you look clear from the beginning, and
It was bad.
it was bad from every single person down. They failed going down that line. And I shouldn't say this because it sounds horrible, but I've told my husband this several times. It's almost like when you go to create a murder. First day you go out and you buy the tape. Second day you go out and buy the car that you're going to commit the murder in. And day after day after day,
You're just building up.
you're building up to do this murder. This is exactly what, and this is why I say my son was murdered. And I mean that, because you clear from the beginning had red flag, red flag, red flag. Then they die. You're waiting for the report and they tell you, we're coming with this report. At first you're thinking, okay, maybe there's 5 things that went wrong. Maybe there's 10 things that went wrong. You're looking at
I don't even know. I haven't even counted.
astronomical amount of failures here, of things that weren't there.
From command to mechanical, it was just terrible. Nobody, I mean, if this is how we're going to fight wars, we might as well not even do this anymore. They were murdered. There's no other way to put it. They were failed from the minute these were chopped into service to the minute it sank.
Every
Yeah,
person
there
should be held accountable.
There
They
should be some
all
court-martials.
had a hand in this. They all had a hand in this.
Mhm.
Clear to the top, I believe.
A lot of people should be court-martialed.
For the family of U.S. Navy hospitalman Christopher Nim, the findings in the report still didn't provide the closure they lacked because of the circumstances of the recovery.
I can't take that vision out of my head of him being in the AAV, drowning, or he hit his head, or what's his last word? It's still in the back of my head. And now knowing that this went on for 45 minutes, how he would be panicking. What was he thinking? And I asked him, once you guys get the boys up, please, I just want to touch him and hold him one more time. They never give me that. The thing is, I don't have my closure to even touch him or hold him. I'm Buddhist, and that's like our last goodbye, sending him off with spirits and good thoughts and prayer. They didn't even give me that chance.
The roughly 2,000-page investigation details not only the mistakes that led to the sinking of the AAV, but hints at greater implications for the Marines and problems with the Corps' entire amphibious assault vehicle fleet. We'll keep digging into the report and be back with more details next week.
So that was horrible. That was absolutely brutal. What do you even do with that? You know, honestly, like you watch that and you hear from the parents, the mothers, and I have always said, you know, I've never been so bothered by people dying. Like, I kind of understand that people die. Like, we're all going to die. But circumstances make me tremendously sad. You know, the idea that somebody that you love died traumatically, afraid, in horrible pain, the last moments being thinking of you or for help or, you know, whatever it is, those things are what's difficult to live with. You know, you can understand death. From my perspective, you can understand death, but it's difficult to understand why something so horrible would have to happen. And then to find out as a family that it was so preventable. When you see the report and you see the failures in organization and maintenance and leadership and training, it becomes, and then when you see the report about the recovery ship that goes out there to help them actually like flipped them over, making the situation worse, it's kind of, I mean, brutal. You know, how does this happen? Jacob said in the chat that those things are literally almost always sinking. Time to ditch them. Jacob would know what he's talking about this. Everyone in the chat seems to agree that this is, pretty rough. It makes me so upset that people mess up and others pay for the consequences. All prayers with those Marines and the sailor, that kind of stuff is why my previous commander got a GOMAR and relieved of command. Luckily, no one died on that mission. And what's the penalty? A commander has to retire early? That's the penalty? And hopefully a change in policy? The consequences are so shallow. We look at these things and go, well, we can learn from them. We relieve the commander for loss of confidence. No, this is negligence, total negligence. It affects the lethality of the Marine Corps, for one, going forward. You think every Marine out there getting in an AAV feels good about that now? I mean, they probably already felt pretty bad about it, but now seeing this, and then you've got to look at from the perspective of a junior enlisted person. This thing happens, and then you go, well, at least we should expect that they're not just going to let it happen to us too. And then they're like, no, we're not really going to do much about it. What? F the Marine Corps, I guess. Definitely getting out next EAS. Like, that is absolutely, there's no words for it. It's inexcusable. It's brutal. It's tragic, everything, you name it. Totally not good. Not good. I hope that they continue to investigate this and that the people responsible for this, truly responsible, who signed off on their training, who signed off that they were good to go when they knew that they weren't, when they obviously were not, get real penalties. Real penalties. Because it was negligence. That's it. It's easy to see here. What's up, Kilo? Welcome to the chat. Sorry you had to come in at that moment, but it's Ghost is here. ITZ Ghost is here. We're going to roll from that. Okay, we did that. We talked about it. It was necessary. Two more things. Okay, One real quick, and then something a little bit fun. We're going to do something a little bit different, a little bit fun, so hang around. We're getting to the end here. So, Eddie Gallagher, who I usually stay pretty quiet about because of the closeness of myself to SEAL Team 7 and almost going on that deployment myself. I keep pretty quiet on my thoughts and opinions on what happened there with his trial. I'm not going to explain who Eddie Gallagher is. If you don't know who Eddie Gallagher is and you follow military news, you've been living under a rock. But Apple TV, along with Apple TV Plus, is launching a dual podcast/TV series on the controversial former SEAL Eddie Gallagher. Here's a picture of him on the screen. Apple TV Plus is launching a dual podcast TV series that should catch the eye of just about anyone paying attention to military news in recent years. Oh, they stole that directly from me. So it's going to be called The Line, and it's an independently reported endeavor to expose previously untold aspects of the story of controversial former Special Warfare Operator Chief Eddie Gallagher, who faced charges in 2018 for alleged war crimes in Iraq, including the murder of an Islamic State detainee. This is going to start as a podcast, coming out. It's out now. The first episodes are out now. And then the TV show is coming out in the fall. So the podcast, the first episodes are out now, and the TV show is coming out in the fall. And it's going to tell his side of the story a little bit, maybe pull out more information, because there's all this stuff about the prosecution and him being detained and military police coming to his house and what really happened. And he's accused all of the people who were reporting this crime of lying because they were cowards and all kinds of stuff. It goes deep. But what I have here is I have the preview for the podcast. So the first two episodes are Righteous Thing and We Have a Problem are out now. I'm going to be listening to them and giving my complete thoughts. But let's listen to the preview for The Line, the podcast, which will become a TV series about Chief SEAL Eddie Gallagher and his time under fire for potentially committing war crimes in Iraq, which he was found not guilty of.
In 2018, a group of Navy SEALs, among the most secretive fighting forces in the world, one by one walked into an interrogation room in Coronado, California, and started talking.
He would sit on his sniper rifle all day long, just like, taking shots.
Accusing their chief, Eddie Gallagher, of war crimes.
Holy shit, we're gonna see and I hit this dude like in the face.
All of a sudden, we just start stabbing the dude.
If he knows it, I know this, you know?
Did a Navy SEAL cross the line?
If in fact he did stab that detainee, that is dead wrong.
They're told to go kill a bunch of these guys, and then they're told how. And that's not always very clear.
How many Navy SEALs do you think are crying over dead terrorists, including Eddie?
Since September 11th, 2001, American war has become more covert, and the Navy SEALs have become the tip of the spear.
And your job was basically manhunting.
Yeah, we captured hundreds upon hundreds of people.
How blurred has the line gotten between right and wrong in war? We talked to more than 50 special operators to find out.
So let me just say, his thing about how many SEALs have cried over dead terrorists, what an interesting way to ask the question, you know? Because dead terrorists, 0. The death that goes along with the killing of terrorists, many. You know, there's a depth of emotion and thought that SEALs have, special operations. These are not mindless killers. These are professionals, elite professionals, highly trained, highly intelligent, that have crystal clear knowledge of what it is that they're doing out there and understanding of what their job and mission is. That's why there's also this idea that SEALs and Green Berets and Rangers and MARSOC Raiders don't have PTSD or don't deal with mental health issues. Totally untrue. Completely wrong. They deal with it just like everybody else. I would say the only difference is identical to everybody else. The only difference is special warfare tends to have more resources and more people care about them and more people want to get involved with them. They actually have a way better support system. We need the kind of support system that special warfare has for regular troops, because in a lot of cases, regular troops have a much more dangerous job than special forces. So let's get back to this and see what they say here.
Every choice was between wrong and wrong.
Something happened that shouldn't have happened, and you cannot unring the bell.
And so you can stand up there and you can lie.
Objection. Argumentative. Overruled.
That's what you understand.
Inside the courtroom for the most controversial war crimes trial in a generation.
Did you call this legal proceeding a joke?
Yes.
Did you say, somebody fire this judge? Whose courtroom is this?
Yes.
You understand that the judge is a Navy captain?
And the SEAL at the...
Well, you know, maybe that Navy captain was like the Nathaniel Allison guy, and he wasn't so great. There was also a lot of drama with the NCIS investigation, and the court case was widely known publicly, and I don't know if this is true, but widely perceived to be unfair against Eddie Gallagher, and there was some people relieved of duty and stuff that kind of back up those claims.
The center of it all.
That's the complete lie that was told. We have rules, but those rules can be bent, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
I'm Dan Taberski. This is The Line, an Apple original podcast.
If you cannot see that line, there's no way to know which side of it you're on.
Out now. Listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
So we've got a brand new podcast, The Line. The first 2 episodes are out now. You guys can listen to it right now. You could turn me off and go watch that. I can tell you for sure I'm going to be listening to that soon. And then the TV show, The Line, is going to be coming out on Apple TV Plus later this year. They said in the fall. Now, one of the complicated things about this particular case is the fact that it's SEALs against SEALs. So people say, how dare you try a Navy SEAL in court for killing terrorists? But if you do say, if that's your argument, you're simultaneously accusing 6 other SEALs of being liars and, in Eddie's words, cowards. So how do you really reconcile that in your mind? I'm asking you, the audience, how can you say a SEAL shouldn't be charged? A SEAL can't, is not guilty. A SEAL is a war fighter. He's being accused by other SEALs. So I think that's the most complicated part of this case. It's not the government versus SEALs. It was SEALs against SEALs. So where do you stand on that? I'm asking you guys as the audience. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, but I'll be checking this podcast out and giving you my thoughts soon. So what do you guys have in the comments over here? Every time I hear chief, I think warrant officer. Then I remember y'all are weird in the Navy. Andrew, the Navy invented chiefs. I'm pretty sure the Navy had chief before the Army did. Jacob says that was one of the craziest stories ever. He went through so much over nothing. Yep. It ended up being that way. Legally, he went through so much over nothing. Nugget says, what comes to mind is war crimes plus the line equals Spec Ops The Line, odd and goofy thought. Oh, the game Spec Ops The Line, which I've also been told to check out. Eddie went on a show saying that while he was in prison, 2 of the accusers came to apologize. I believe it. Andrew said, intrigued about the difference between ODA and SEAL teams. Are you asking me to give my thoughts on the differences between ODA and SEAL teams? Oh, I fell asleep and this is still live, Angie says. Nice. Yes, we are going a little bit long today. Yo, Max, do a reaction of the F-18 trailer from DCS. Yes, I will check that out. You're not even the first person to say it. I'm good. Okay, Andrew says, political pressures can cause people to make accusations. Very true. I mean, it's true. But I don't know if that's what I think happened here. Icosahedron, great name. When that many SEALs come forward, it's hard to dismiss. In my opinion, they're brothers for life, and that couldn't be easy for them. Definitely complex and nuanced. Yes, that's a really good... I really like that comment. Hedron. Mortar Pit chimes in to say, SEALs reporting on SEALs was the biggest surprise for me. When I was in Iraq, we had SEALs as our EOD, and they seemed like a close-knit family. Exactly, Mortar Pit. That's what I'm saying. It's like, where do you stand on this? You know, if you believe SEALs to be, you know, kind of righteous in their cause out there, only in this case, then how do you dismiss the other SEALs who are the ones who accused him? I guess all we have to go on right now is what the criminal justice system, the military justice system said, which is not guilty. So think there was some bad blood in teams before this. Don't know. I don't know either. I can't say any way, one or the other. Now, I told you guys, by the way, 25 people watching right now. If you haven't had a chance already, check out the links in the description down below. ScuttleButtShow.com for all your merch, and Patreon to become a patron. If you become an elite patron on your second month of membership, I'm going to send you a free t-shirt. So it pays for itself. So check out the links in the description and see all the great ways to support the channel. We've got, Andrew says, the accusers also got a lot of immunity, or they weren't given immunity, so they pled the fifth. Jacob says it only takes one little friend group to totally screw up a command, though. Yeah, there's a lot to that, too, for sure. I hope that, I try not to say anything because I know everybody who was involved, some better than others, and so I keep my opinions to myself on the show. But hey, I let the system speak for itself on this one. Now, I said I had something for you guys on the show today, a little bit different than normal, a little bit special, and that's true, and that's happening right now. Who watches Shark Tank? Any Shark Tank fans out here? I'm a big Shark Tank person. I love Shark Tank. I love seeing the stuff on there. I've bought many products from there. And when I was in Nagano snowboarding last week, we were just walking around talking about socks. And in the military, you know, we love our socks, right? We love a good pair of socks. It makes all the difference in the world, honestly. Got to have a good pair of socks. So have you guys heard of Bombas? I've got my first ever pair of Bombas socks that I'm going to unpack here and try on and give you guys my initial thoughts. If you guys are interested in socks like I am, I'm always looking for some good socks. I had my Smart Wool socks, which I always loved a lot. Those Smart Wool socks were great. Wore those on many deployments. But Bombas are supposed to be the socks. These are supposed to be the socks. So I got the Bombas website up here right now. This is totally not sponsored or anything like that. This is just me interested in a new pair of socks. For every pair purchased, another pair gets donated. So if you buy a pair, you get a pair. They are costly. This is not a sponsorship. This is not a sponsorship. This is just, I'm going to tell you guys my honest thoughts on these socks when I open them right now. So let's, if you guys don't care about this, then feel free to tune out because the show is going to end after this. But I'm going to try on a pair of Bombas right now. I'm going to tell you guys what I think. I will say these socks are not on the cheaper side of socks. I think this 6-pack of socks was like $30 or whatever. Or what's a 4-pack? 4-pack of socks was like $30. Not cheap. I'm going to try on the black pair because I'm going to probably wear these for the rest of the day. So these socks are supposed to be unique in the fact that they have this kind of big heel. Let me see. I'll grab the lighter colored pair because that'll be easier for you guys to see. They have this like bigger heel right here, like this reinforced heel for comfort and for staying on. They're supposed to never come off. Then they have this kind of knit webbing right here, this honeycombing, which they say helps it from sliding around when it's on your foot. So let me throw these on. Let me give you guys my initial thoughts. I'm going to slide back from the chair here real quick. All right, I am now wearing my first ever pair of Bombas, and all I can say right off the bat is they're pretty comfortable. They do feel tight around the midfoot where that honeycomb is. They're very soft. They feel thick enough, like the right amount of thickness where they're not like your feet are going to melt in them, but they're not going to like wear down right away, and your shoes should still fit the same. But I will say, this little heel thing, I really feel this. I really can tell a difference with that heel cut the way it is. It feels really comfortable and really kind of like it's hugging my foot in a way that I'm not used to. You know how a lot of socks, especially low-cut socks, the heel will drop down, and by the end of the day, if you've had these socks for a while, you might be standing on the back part of your sock and your heel is totally exposed. You get a little blister back there, especially if you're doing a lot of athletic stuff. I'm hoping these solve that. So these I'm going to wear as athletic socks. I'm going to wear around, I wear almost exclusively workout clothes out here in Japan. I have no real reason to put on anything else. So I'm always wearing shorts and my gym shoes. So we'll see. I'm going to go to the gym after this, and I'll have a better idea of how these socks are for you guys on the next episode, which is going to be Sunday, 1800 Pacific Standard Time. That's Monday out for me in Okinawa. So let me see what you guys thought about over here. Let's see. William says, I've seen some groups of people nearly create a low-level mutiny purely based on petty personal differences that built up over time. Yeah, for sure. SEAL Team Max. Hey, by the way, there's going to be some new skits coming out soon. I'm going to be working on those. Do they come in size 15 men's, Scad? I know you have those clown feet. I don't know. I'm wearing a large right now that covers 9 to 13. That's some smart wool prices. They are smart wool prices. $7.50 a pair. Thanks, Bill, for letting us know. I think it was like $30 for the 4-pack, and they have some that are almost like $100 for a 10-pack or something like that. Let's see. Boomer says, I don't know what's happening, but I love it. Andrew says, I love my Filson socks. I'll have to check those out. Max's wife is going to walk in and be like, WTF. She'll be at work for a while still. I hope you have a great workout. Thanks, Nuggets. My first time here, and I really liked it. Thanks, Ghost. I hope you'll be back. I'll take your entire stock. What do you want my entire stock of? Oh, I finished the sketch from the Navy SEAL video. I sent it to you via DM. Oh, Boomer, hang on a second. That changes everything. Hey, do you mind if I find it right now on the computer, do you mind if I share it, if I let everybody see it? Is that okay with you? Hold up, you guys. Boomer emailed me, said he had some fan art, worked on some fan art from the show, and let me see if I have that here in my inbox. Let me see, I got to download this. Let's see. Download it. Go ahead. All right. Okay. We're doing this. I got it. I'm looking at it right now. It is awesome. Dude, it's totally awesome. Let me, I got to rotate it. Nice. Hand goes here. I love this. I love this, dude. It's awesome. Let's see. It's not done yet. I'm looking for good socks for some jungle type environments. Anyone got any good recommendations? I like smart wool. Okay. So Boomer says, just make sure you specify it's not done yet. Okay. So this is not completely done yet, but it is looking quite awesome. I got to pull it up here. Let me get this for you guys really quick. We got this. 1 second. This should be it. There we go. So let me get this on screen here. This is awesome, dude. I love it. You got my background there perfect. I love it, dude. You got the gun control poster back there. Totally nailed it. The skull. It looks awesome, dude. It looks totally awesome. I really appreciate it. It is a huge honor to get my first fan art, which I love. I'm like totally blown away by this. It means a lot to me, dude. I really appreciate it. I hope I'm doing a good job for you, and you're enjoying the content as always. This is a really, really, really nice gesture for me. Very motivating, and I appreciate it a great deal. So it looks so cool. Totally. Operator Max. Yep, that's Operator Me. Nerd Me is on the other side of this somewhere. So, dude, I appreciate it, man. It means a lot. So I think that's a great place to end the show. I think it doesn't get much better than that, right? So I really appreciate it, dude. It means a lot to me. You are the man. I appreciate it so much. That's going on my fridge, Austin. When I get the done from Boomer, this is going on my fridge. There's no question about it. So I really appreciate you guys, as always, for being here. It's been a super fun week. I hope you guys are getting ready to have a great weekend. I am for sure out here. And I'll be back Monday, Sunday, 1800 Pacific Standard Time with a brand new episode of the ScuttleButt Show. With that being said, I look forward to talking to you guys very soon. I am out for now.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.